Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pizzapia, and this is BP NFL. It's time to look ahead to Week 4. Joining me for the props for Week 4 in the NFL, the Welsh and the Undertaker, Andrew Erickson. Strong week from the boys last week. We're going to try to capitalize on this, and also another strong performance on the Thursday Night Football show. In case you missed it, CeeDee Lamb over, check. CeeDee Lamb touchdown, check. You go home happy. I told you, avoid the spread. It's a tragedy. Nothing but field goals, baby. Nothing but field goals. But that's why you're with us, and that's why you subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel to hang out with us and talk some ball. Gentlemen, we have a big week ahead of us here. Some fun and exciting matchups. A lot of matchups, too, where teams are kind of up against it. We're going to see how they respond. Some teams that are not quite proven, we're going to see how they respond. And these are the players that we have our eyes on, and hopefully can bring us some cash. Before we get to the names on the list, don't forget, everybody, to make sure that you download the Betting Pros app and use the tools, just like the prop bet cheat sheet. I assemble a weekly television show. I go through the prop bet cheat sheet to find the best lines. The boys go through it. We all use it. You should use it too, because it's the best way to compare all the different sportsbook lines with the expert projections and then find the value. That's what it's about. So use the prop bet cheat sheet right now. You can get it over at Betting Pros or go to bettingpros.com/props. That's the way to find it. And you're going to find the most profitable opportunities and tailored recommendations. And then also you can track all the winning trends as well. So Betting Pros is the app to help to get you into the black. All right, let's start here. Leaderboard overall, you guys, 9-6 for Erickson, 8-7 for Welsh. So both above 500. That's where we want to be. Joey P is 9-2 over his last 11. Follow me. bettingpros.com/Joe. All right, let's get to your first pick of the week here, Welsh. And we're going with somebody who was the 101 in many fantasy leagues, Tyreek Hill. What are your feelings about Tyreek the Freak in Week 4?
I am doing this just to double down. I'm doing this for the boys. I'm doing this for me and Erickson here. Even when there are things that are telling us not to, like his Week 3 data with Skylar Thompson. I just want to re-point out, like, Skylar Thompson's not great, but it was also a week difference between Tua and Skylar Thompson and what they were able to cater the playbook to. And then he gets hurt and Tim Boyle comes in. It was a disaster for Tyreek last week. He had a 15% target share, not good. 6.8 ADOT, not good. People freaking out. Erickson and I this week talking about the bye, because if this team is going to win, it has to go through Tyreek Hill. And I believe it will go back through Tyreek Hill. So some stuff that you can still sit on for the season. Even though that Week 3 was so bad, he still has an over 11 ADOT. He still has a 34% target share, and he's still averaging 14.94 yards per reception. So he's also fourth in yards after reception in the NFL at 9 yards. And obviously the last week, 2 weeks have been kind of messy. So he's only hit this in one of his last 3 games. But if you look over his last 10 using the Betting Pros betting pages, which are awesome, which you can go and do some analysis on all of your picks when you're on the Betting Pros side, he's hit 8 of these last 10. So it has just been these last 2 weeks. This is one of the lowest numbers on Tyreek Hill receiving yards that we've seen in quite some time. I don't even know if I actually said it as we were coming in here. I told you it was a receiving yards, 52.5. It's 52.5 yards, 4 catches based off of his yards per reception gets us there. But again, my big thesis, I wish could be about, this crazy big underlying thing that's gone on. But here's what it really sits around. It sits around this player that has been established for years and years and years, 44 touchdowns in the last 2 years, hasn't had less than 1,200 receiving yards over the last 4 years, 4 years, by the way, not under 1,200 receiving yards the last 4 years. And we've had 1 week of messy, weird quarterback play that kind of screwed up. You have Tyler Huntley likely coming back in there. You got to get Tyreek Hill the ball. That's my thesis. It's a super low receiving yard prop. I'm smashing it for the boys, and I'm taking it just to try to hit home this buy narrative of Tyreek Hill, and just a really great bet to cash. So 52.5 receiving yards. When do you think that low number was out there for Tyreek Hill over the last 3 years?
No. You can get this on one play. I mean, and
Exactly.
Tyler Huntley apparently is picking up the Dolphins offense, quote, like riding a bike. So there you go, end quote. So depends on how good of a bike rider you are.
Yeah, do we know if Huntley knows how to ride a bike?
That was not part of the article. but we can only assume he does.
Here's a picture of Tyler Huntley riding a bike. It's him on the ground.
He's on like a big wheel. He's like, this is a bike, right?
Don't put the bad juju on this, Erickson.
No. We're not going to put it bad juju
quiet.
on. No. I love it. Let's buy Tyreek Hill everywhere in fantasy leagues too. Erickson, let's talk about the Jets. I've already bet Braylon Allen to score a touchdown at plus 190 this week because I think it's all hands on deck in the backfield. But you've got feelings about another RB. With Garrett Wilson in a tough matchup, it seems like the running backs are going to get used heavily. So let's talk about your thoughts on Breece Hall in week 4.
Yeah, I love Breece Hall. The over on his receiving yards, 27.5. You look at the Broncos on defense. What have they done this season? They've blitzed at the NFL's highest rate at 45%. So what does that mean? Aaron Rodgers, I'm not going to wait and get hit from these guys. I'm old. I don't want that. So I'm going to get the ball out quick. And who's that going to be? To the running backs out of the backfield. So you look at Breece Hall, what he's done through 3 games. He's already been over this number 3 straight games. So even though Braylon Allen is getting more involved, they want to feature Breece Hall still as the primary receiver out of the backfield. We talked about Garrett Wilson going to be matched up with Patrick Surtain. Not a good matchup for him. So I think Breece Hall is going to be Aaron Rodgers' go-to guy in this particular matchup. So that's why I love the over in the receiving. Again, another player that, he can get this on one play. Breece Hall is that explosive out of the backfield, and he's already done it. So when you look at, how involved he is as a first read target, per fantasy points data, Hall owns the 3rd highest first read target share among running backs at 18% this season.
Let's go to Welsh for your second pick this week. Let's talk about DK Metcalf. Huge game here for the Seahawks. Proving now, all right, here we go. We've won 3 games. Defense has played really well. Competition's been below average. Now you're getting the Detroit Lions on the road. I'm fascinated by this game. I do think the Seahawks cover, but that was in yesterday's show with Terrell and Erickson. I want to talk about DK Metcalf with you.
Yeah, this is actually like the Tyreek Hill one. It's super fun. It's kind of my narrative play, and I have it bet on the BettingPros app right now. This is my favorite one. It's like my absolute favorite one is DK Metcalf. BP projections have him over this number at 62.5, which you can find as the lowest number. A consensus number is 64.5, so this is going to fly around, but 62.5 on the receiving yards is what we're playing with DK Metcalf. He is projected over this. I cross-referenced it to PFF, 72.5 on his projections. And then some of the things to kind of sit with: Lions giving up the most passing yards in the NFL, wide receivers. DK is 11th in air yards in the NFL, 16 in air yard share. And the BettingPros prop page, when you go and check out DK Metcalf, shows that he has hit this obviously in 2 of his last 3 games, but this is a really cool tool as well. They've got the comparable tool, which is kind of at the bottom if you're looking on the website, and it'll show you comparable wide receivers versus the defense. And guess what? All 3 wide receivers in the comparable front that have gone up against the Lions have crossed this prop. DK Metcalf has been a target monster, a big air guy. They do get Ken Walker back, it's looking like, so they can establish some run. But with this Lions offense, this has the makings of one of those shootout type of situations. And Geno has been passing the crap out of the ball. So I love DK Metcalf in this situation with whatever comes with JSN, Tyler Lockett. Like, I don't want to say this on 62.5, but I'll do it for a 3rd time. He could do this in one play. This is what DK Metcalf does as well. So this is a big air yards guy. This is kind of a low-ish number. Projections like it. BettingPros likes it. And I like it.
All right. I like it too. Again, I love that you can see on the site too the comparisons with the fantasy averages and where the defenses have given up to. I think Seattle actually overperforms. I don't know if they're going to win this game, but I think they're going to overperform in it to at least people's expectations. Next up, Andrew Erickson. If you've been fading the backfield of the Chicago Bears, well, you've been making money this year. So it's week 4. What do you want to do with the Bears backfield this week?
I'm going to fade the backfield specifically with DeAndre Swift.
Okay.
Going to go under on his rushing yards, 35.5. This line has moved significantly since opening. I think it opened around 43.5. That's the number I was able to get on early in the week. But like we learned last week about the Juwan Jennings, if you're right, it doesn't matter what the number is going to be, because I'm going to be right about DeAndre Swift. He's not getting anywhere near 35.5 rushing yards, because I don't even know if he's the primary ball carrier anymore in the Bears backfield. We've seen reports come out talking about how the Bears want to feature Roschon Johnson more in these upcoming matchups, and why not? Because last week he got Swift 13 carries for 20 yards. Again, he's been under 35.5 rushing yards the first 3 weeks of the season already, and that was when he was the starting running back for the Chicago Bears. So I think that we could see him fall to third in the pecking order. He's following in the footsteps of Miles Sanders last year, where, I'm the highest paid running back in free agency, and then you lose your job to one of the backups on the team. So again, as a Roshan Johnson truther, all off season, this is a big moment for us. I don't know how effective he's going to be, but we're not betting his rushing props. We're just betting against DeAndre Swift. So again, it doesn't matter what the matchup is because the Bears just can't run the ball. And I think the Rams' strengths, quote unquote, strengths on defense are actually probably on their defensive line rather than their secondary, which is absolutely atrocious. So I'm just going to fade DeAndre Swift.
Erickson, one thing too, we were talking earlier in the week about the Ezekiel Elliott under rushing yard number and how low it was and how scary it is. But this is it. But
if you're not playing, you don't get any yards.
That's kind of the thing. It's like this number has been going down for a reason. It's kind of scary because Swift is one of those breakaway players, but he hasn't been breaking away.
No, he's not. No, he's one. I don't think he's that guy anymore. Yeah, he hasn't been that guy anymore. So he can't, unlike the three guys we talked about before where they can get on one play, Swift cannot. I don't think Swift can do it on one play anymore.
By the way, last couple weeks for Zeke, and this was, first of all, good practice because we've been talking about Rico Dowdle on the Fantasy Pros channel for a couple weeks now. People drop him, go pick him up. Hopefully you listened. But Zeke, last couple weeks, here we go, against the Saints, 6 for 16, against the Ravens, 3 for 6. And then last night against the Giants, 5 for 19. So it's over, folks.
So he actually did get more than in week 1. He did have one nice first down run. I was like, oh, there you go, Zeke.
He had one.
Zeke, baby.
Everybody gets one. It was against the Giants, by the way.
And then he ran into the big pot and came out and was like, oh, it's 5 yards.
Oh.
Yeah, 5 yards. There you go. All right, everybody, let's get to the third pick here that we have. Let's talk about Josh Allen. Right now, kind of co-front runner for MVP. It's a really good narrative. I'd be putting some money on it right now, especially if he wins this game. Now, if he loses it, you're going to see this kind of bounce back a little bit. But even if that happens, I still think that narrative for Josh Allen is fascinating. It's Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. He's got this little supporting cast of characters. It's just an ensemble, no stars. He's the only star. And that, my friends, leads to a really good narrative. But let's talk about the passing yards. The number's 230.5. Welsh, what do you want to do with it?
I want to play it over. Of course I do. BettingPros shows that Josh Allen has hit this 2 of the last 3 games so far this year. The projections are over 230, kind of across the board. Again, I'll take BP projections and sometimes back them up. PFF projections are pushing this as well, over 245. And more importantly, like I talked about, and this is like a fun narrative to play sometimes, with the DK Metcalf one, as far as receivers go, the Lions giving up the most yards to wide receivers, and it's a great play for DK Metcalf. The Ravens have given up the most overall passing yards in the NFL, over 900. So this is a great spot for Josh Allen, where you're not going to really run the ball a whole bunch. I mean, Cook has obviously been doing his thing and Josh Allen can move, but the secondary has been a disaster for them. So this is an opportunity if Keon Coleman, shows up on time, that maybe he can have a few snaps, that he can go long. Khalil Shakir, just bang, bang, bang. Kincaid, it's a pretty good spot. But either way, this is 230. This is a low number that he's hit in 2 of the last 3 weeks. This has shootout potential, close game potential, and Josh Allen's going to sling the ball. So I'd love this one, like 1B to the DK Metcalf side. I took a passing prop last week in Brock Purdy, smashed. Going to kind of keep paying attention. This is usually not my market too, on like targeting and honing in on a lot of quarterback passing props, but we're finding some really good ones early on. And I think this one is the best of the week as far as like passing yards or touchdowns right now.
Yeah, look, he's getting the job done. I love the comment too after the game the other day where he's like, yeah, it's, nobody cares about their stats. Wink, wink. Talking to you, Stefan. I mean, if that wasn't like loud and clear, I don't know what was.
Maybe he was talking about Gabe Davis.
Yeah, that's what it was. It must have been Gabe Davis was the guy who was just begging.
He just beat Gabe Davis's team, so clearly Gabe Davis was on top of his mind.
Definitely way
totally,
off on that one.
Totally
Erickson,
Gabe Davis.
All right, Undertaker. Let's find an under for week 4. Where do you have?
Oh, another running back that's, we don't know how his job security is anymore. Rachaad White, under 38.5 rushing yards. Look, last week we saw Bucky Irving take a much larger role in this backfield, and the coaches noticed that, because we can't just keep putting Rachaad White out there to average 2 yards per carry and say that's an offensive success, right? So they're going to lean on Bucky Irving more as a rusher. Rachaad White still has a role as a pass catcher in this Buccaneers offense, but I just don't see a scenario where Rachaad White is ripping off these massive runs against a really stout Philadelphia Eagles defense. Again, it doesn't even really matter. Again, it's not really about the matchup, honestly. It's just about how ineffective Rachaad White has been, and he's not going to see enough volume to get him to 38.5 rushing yards. He's been the starting running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the last 3 weeks, and he's been under 38.5 rushing yards the last 3 weeks. So now if you're taking away more volume from him, I don't see a scenario where, similar to Swift, I don't think this guy's going to beat me. So I'm going to take the under on Rachaad White, under 38.5 rushing yards. I feel good about betting on these dusty, inefficient running backs so far after taking the under on Zeke. So let's keep it rolling.
I want to see an under parlay from you, Erickson. I want the under
Of
parlay.
all the running backs.
You give me Swift, White, and give me like one more. Give me a 3.
I'll do. No, I got the guy. I got Swift, White, Javonte.
I'm gonna play that. That's gonna be like 4 to 1.
I would put it together while you're talking about the next one here. So it's Swift, it's Taylor and Javonte Williams.
Yeah,
that's where we're going. Those are the 3 unders.
Would be Swift.
All right.
That's
Swift, amazing.
Rachaad White and
all
Javonte
under.
Williams.
And the totals will all like not even combine 100 yards between 3 running backs. That's amazing.
All right, I'm gonna put that together.
Okay.
While I do that, Welsh, why don't you talk about another prop for week 4 here in the NFL, and you're gonna go where the Patriots are.
So they're
That's
not
an
all
interesting
sexy. Josh Allen, that was a sexy name. DK Metcalf was a sexy name. I'm going to get into the mud a little bit because this one's going to be gross. We're going with Demario Douglas over receiving yards. And it's even gross because this number moved a little bit. I took it on Tuesday at 33.5 and it moved down. So, that could maybe put in some of the fear. But I'll tell you, I love this from so many factors. One of the things Erickson and I talked about last week, he talked about it on the Fantasy Pros show we do on the podcast side called Extra Point, where it was like Demario Douglas was complaining, wanted to get the ball. They got him the ball in that second series, and he ended up getting like whatever it was, 6 catches. So the complaining has worked out. But he's also hit this. I think it's 6 of his last 10 games. I left out my number here. According to the BettingPros prop pages, but you guys will be able to see it. He's projected over 36, but more importantly, the Niners got exposed last week from Tutu Atwell out of the slot. And that's what I think is going to happen here. You saw Tutu going in motion, moving out of the slot, and the 49ers were just giving that up in that middle of the field. Well, guess what? They lost Hargrave, who is on that interior line. That's going to equate the 49ers to this matchup's a little bit weird, but like the Patriots are going to try to smash the ball in, and that's going to give someone to have to cheat, whether it's going to be a linebacker or it's going to be like a Hufanga at safety. And that opens up that middle of the field a little bit. And what happens? The slot receiver, Demario Douglas, Pop Douglas, 83% out of the slot right now. I think he is going to pull off another Tutu Atwell. They're not going to get beat on the outside. They're not going to get beat a whole bunch on the passing game, but down the middle, Pop Douglas gets his targets. It was 6 or 7 targets last week. We have a 32.5 over receiving yard marker. Yes, because that is the weakness of the 49ers. So let's pick on them. Ugly Pop Douglas, 32.5 over receiving yards. Boy, I love it. It was my first bet of the week.
All right. Now, right now, you can't get the individual stuff I see for a lot of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now because of all the stuff going on post weather issues in Florida. But I did put Javonte and Swift unders together, and that'll get you plus 252. So I can only assume.
Here's one thing you could do. Just put someone else's under. Like it's going to be like minus 115. Just add one more minus 15 to it real quick and tell us what that number will be when it's ready.
All right.
Just anybody. It doesn't even matter. It'll be like a minus 115 guy.
Just preheating the oven, baby.
Just preheating the oven. All right. Rushing props here. Let's see. Let's put an like under here for Chase Brown.
How about that? It doesn't matter even who it is.
32
I would never bet the under on Chase Brown.
You would never bet the under? Okay, 561.
Yeah, so that's you're going to get like 5.5 to 1 to go under on all 3 of those. I'm 100%.
How about Zach Moss? Same thing, 561.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's why the number is going to look the same. BettingPros.com/ what is it? Erickson or Ant? It's last name, right? Is that your
/ Erickson for him? Yeah. Joe for me, Welsh for you.
Go follow all of those and look at this under prop as we are going to put it on there and tail with us and gloriously live the punishment of under 30-yard rushers and take the cash home and just be happy about it.
It's wild. All right, let's get to your next one here. It's an over, folks. So let's talk about it here. Brian Thomas Jr. Look, I've taken a bunch of overs on him this year already, and I've listened to you, Erickson, and I've made money on it because he is that big splash guy, and he's been able to do that. Can he do it again in week 4?
Well, he's done it for the 3 straight weeks in a row since he's been in the NFL.
Yes.
Over 45.5 receiving yards. I like him to go over again because when you're looking at Jacksonville, they're trying to kind of find their identity on offense. They're 0-3, coming off obviously the horrible game against the Buffalo Bills. But when you look at how you beat the Houston Texans and how they've been attacked, it's actually been downfield. They've given up a lot of big plays. Back to that Vikings game, where was Sam Darnold? It wasn't dink and dunk. It was Sam Darnold aerial assault down the field against the Houston Texans. So Trevor Lawrence, again, they are attacking aggressively downfield. It hasn't really been working that great, but when their offense has been actually functioning, basically the first half of that Miami game, it was downfield strikes to guys like Brian Thomas Jr. So I think, again, going back to our mantra of the show, he can get it on one play. Brian Thomas Jr. can get this on one play. And also Gabe Davis is dealing with a shoulder injury as well. So while they're putting together this game plan, I think it's going to be a lot of Brian Thomas Jr. So I like him to go over in this spot in the Dome against the Texans, which could be, I think is going to be a sneaky shootout.
This. While you were talking, I just bet all 3 of those unders that we were talking about for those RBs. Follow us on BettingPros, folks. All right, next one here and final one before we get to the touchdown calls. Let's get to a little fun bet that Welsh has put together for everybody out there. So, Welsh, let's talk about your last of the props for week 4.
Yeah, it's a receptions prop. I actually ran this last week. We didn't hit it, unfortunately. We destroyed the Deontay Johnson one. He was 3.5, but it was majorly juiced up. I paired it with Kelsey. Good logic. He had 4 receptions. Didn't get the 5th one, so we didn't cash that.
Kelsey breakout this week. I'm calling it, Welsh.
Well, then maybe you can put him in here.
Career 100 receptions against the Chargers. 8 touchdowns in his career. This is it. It's now or never. And it might be never, but this is it, folks. Yeah. This is it, especially with Derwin James out, with them having injuries everywhere. If this isn't the Kelsey breakout week and you're getting great numbers on DFS, you get great numbers everywhere across the board on him, just do it. And if it fails, it fails. But then we know it's Dover. I think if it's not this week, it's over.
I think it was mine was like 135 or something like that. Maybe you can put them together or something. So I found 2 reception props that I love that are massively juiced again. So we're going to try to see if we can play this out. And we are going to get plus 155 on Greg Dortch, 2.5 receptions over, paired with Brock Bowers, 3.5 receptions over. I thought we were done with ever having Brock Bowers under 4.5 receptions. The books said no after last week. So we're going to tail both of these. These guys have hit this reception prop each in 2 of their last 3 weeks. We know there's some question marks with the Raiders right now as far as like even Devontae Adams, but also this is the force of the offense in Brock Bowers. And Dortch is going up against Washington, the worst secondary in the NFL. This is a great touchdown play as well. Greg Dortch, safety net. Sure, Marvin Harrison props are super fun, but have you ever bet on Greg Dortch and experienced a weekend? 2.5 receptions for him, 3.5 for Bowers, get plus 155. That's my fun reception parlay of the week.
There you go. Erickson, close us out strong. Let's go back to the Ravens game against the Bills. What do you have?
Yeah, I love this game for the game total over, so I expect points on both sides, and I expect the Ravens to have to throw the ball more because they can't throw the ball less because last week Lamar Jackson attempted the fewest amount of pass attempts ever in a game that he started and finished. So what you're seeing is the Ravens receivers, their tight ends, and like guys like Zay Flowers, who I like the over 4.5 receptions, their numbers are suppressed because of how little the Ravens threw the ball last week. So I'm trying to take advantage of it in this completely different matchup where I think the Bills are going to be putting up points. I think the Ravens are going to have to be forced to throw a lot more. And through 3 weeks, Zay Flowers has been the clear-cut target share leader in this Ravens offense. So, again, we have question marks about which tight end will get involved, who's going to run routes. We don't know, but I do know that Zay Flowers is the number 1 target. They're going to force feed him touches in this particular matchup. When you look at the Bills, what are they best at? Limiting big plays. That's why Jacksonville was so undermanned against it, because that's what Jacksonville is trying to do, is generate big plays. Mm-hmm. Zay Flowers is the underneath guy. Zay Flowers is the bubble screen guy. So I think that he's going to get peppered. I don't know what the yardage will look like, but I would be very surprised if he doesn't catch at least 6 or 7 balls in a shootout. All
right. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers, those are the 2 things you can control.
You want to bet Mark Andrews? No one wants to bet Mark Andrews here?
Oh, I mean, the numbers are probably so low right now. I don't even know if you can really. Is it even tenable at this point? Like,
is this the week just go back all on tight ends? Is this week 4 the tight end week?
No, because there's too many injuries. Like, you still got McBride out, and you've still got that's
the ones that are playing at least.
Maybe. I mean, look, I think you go back in on Kelsey this week. I do.
I mean, I kind of like
I
Andrews.
kind of like the
too.
under on Andrews. I think it is appropriate.
What's
too.
the under on
Doesn't
Andrews?
matter.
What?
All of it.
Andrews right now.
Anything.
Doesn't matter.
Snaps.
Well, let me look
Catches,
on BP's
yards,
right
touchdowns,
now, and let's see that Andrews
first
numbers.
read looks.
I mean, I'm pretty sure his receptions was like 2.5.
He'll have more.
Yikes.
Yeah, have more pancake blocks than receptions.
31.5 receiving yards.
Under.
Yeah, I tend to go to the under.
I like
anytime
likely.
touchdowns plus. You know what you should do? You should bet the anytime touchdown at plus 270, and then just bet the under on the yards. Like he has that one catch for a touchdown, and everybody doesn't know what to think. That sounds
Betting
very
Mark
much
Andrews
like
right now
2024
is
to me.
like that Family Guy meme where the guy walks in, he's like, I would like to bet on a sport. And he gives him the money and he's like, what'd you like to bet on? I'm good. And he just leaves and just loses the money. That's Betting Andrews right now.
That sounds good to me. All right, let's get to the touchdown calls for week 4. And don't forget, everybody, the touchdown score report at bettingpros.com/touchdown is available. And if you're looking for an edge in the touchdown bets, it's a great tool to be using. So go ahead, check that out. We like to use it as well here, the three of us. Our touchdown score report, it compares anytime touchdown stats to prop bets and odds and projections to help identify the best of the best when it comes to anytime touchdown bets. And head over to bettingpros.com/touchdown right now for the latest touchdown prop analysis today. Welsh, start us off here. I got to say, this one feels a little risky to me. I know where your head's at, but I don't know,
All right.
man. Sell me on Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
Let's do
well,
it.
last week I also gave you guys a plus 230 receiving touchdown in Juwan Jennings. So I'm going to bring
You
it
sure
back
did.
to you.
Look, man, the Juwan, I remember last week when you were, it felt like with Juwan Jennings, you were like, oh man, it went from 38 to 40. I
You
hope
guys
we can
both
cross
said that.
line.
It's just, you know what it is? All it is like getting a sexy line and then it moving. I'll give you an
2
example real
yards.
quick.
You cleared it by 130.
I know. Erickson knew this. I got the most ridiculous prop earlier this week. I got Carson Steele rushing yards at 22.5. It opened up. They immediately took it down. And then 2 days went by and they boosted it back up. What did it open at? 40.5. That's actually not a bad number either. But it's like that value line difference makes you just a little bit queasy. I'd still probably take Carson Steele at over
I
40.
can't get any Juwan Jennings numbers this week yet.
40
because nobody
No,
knows.
48.5.
Because all these 49ers are, a lot of these guys are
Well,
questionable.
they're not.
Yeah,
there's no
why?
reception prop on him, but it was 48.5 or 47.5 on the receiving yards for
Over.
Juwan Jennings. But
Over.
Um,
Anyway,
yeah, no,
let's get
over.
to
I'm not
touchdowns.
going with Juwan Jennings. I'm going with Keenan Allen. You're saying it's risky, obviously, just because he hasn't been out there 100%. But that one game that he did play, he was targeted two times in the red zone. Now, Caleb's kind of a little bit of a disaster. DJ Moore is not their red zone guy. Adunze could be, but guess what? He's banged up.
He's questionable.
Caleb
Yeah.
loved Keenan Allen. And Keenan Allen got those red zone targets. So if they get into the red zone, you can get Keenan Allen at almost 3-1 this week, 285. From a red zone to games played perspective, it's one of the highest in Keenan Allen because he played one game and he got 2 red zone targets. I think he will get it again. You will get that touchdown at almost 3-1. Do you want me to do my other one too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's run them all out there. Let's go.
The other one that I'm going with the Dolphins. I'm not going with Tyreek Hill. Devon Achane. You don't see a ton of good plus money Devon Achane anytime touchdowns. It's plus 150 this week. And I actually like it from the receiving side because the Titans currently have given up 3 receiving touchdowns to running backs. And that's the most in the NFL. No one has given up more receiving touchdowns to RBs. So I like that for Mr. Devon Achane, whether it's rushing or on that receiving side, because that's where he's going to play. Plus 150 Achane, plus 285 Keenan Allen. Those are my 2 touchdown calls.
All right, Erickson, give me some TDs for week 4.
Going with Najee Harris plus 125 because I'm a slave to
I like
regression. Najee Harris leads the NFL in red zone carries, has not scored a touchdown. The Colts lead the NFL in most rushing yards allowed. They've allowed 1 rushing touchdown. The numbers are they're converging here, people. The regression is converging here. So Najee Harris, I think he's going to score multiple touchdowns in this game. So give me him plus 125 to at least score once. And then my other one, my long shot special of the week, touchdowns. I may have found my next Donald Parham potentially with this guy.
Look at
Oh.
this name.
Eric All.
There we go.
Eric All, Cincinnati Bengals rookie tight end.
Like all.
He's been heavily involved the last 2 weeks. He has 8 targets, 8 receptions. Super efficient. Joe Burrow likes this guy. Every broadcast I've listened to for the Bengals the last 2 weeks, they don't stop talking about Eric All. They're like, the Bengals absolutely love this guy. And he's played a lot the last 2 weeks. Mike Gesicki's snaps are still, they're not super high. So I think that we could see Eric All have a bigger role. They're playing the Carolina Panthers. no team has allowed more touchdowns to tight ends this year than the Carolina Panthers. That the only team that's actually allowed more than one touchdown to a tight end this season, because no tight ends are scoring any touchdowns. So also, Eric All has a big role in the red zone. You look at the amount of red zone snaps that the Bengals have had the last 2 weeks. He's played on 50% of those snaps inside the 10-yard line. And no team has thrown the ball more inside the 20-yard line than Joe Burrow and the Bengals. So I think they're going to score. They're going to have opportunities to score. And I think Eric All is going to find his way into the end zone this week and be a top 12 tight end in fantasy because, well, if you score a touchdown,
you know what?
If
you're an all-time sicko, I just did it. You could take both Erickson and I's long shot, Keenan Allen and Eric All anytime touchdowns, 25-1 right now.
Wow.
Eric All's number wasn't as good on the book that I just used, by the way. It was plus 550, but 25.
My long shot, I didn't put it in this week because I think Addison might be back, and if so, it might muddy the waters. But Jalen Nailor has been terrific. I mean, he's been a touchdown machine for the Vikings. And considering Alexander and Jefferson are going to match up, I would imagine that Nailor would be looked at again in the red zone. So he's plus 470. But if you're looking for something a little safer, let's talk about Justin Fields. I want to go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers here where Andrew Erickson was. Now, for me, Justin Fields just continues to get more and more confident every week. That Indianapolis Colts defense is trash. It's terrible. It's no good. Plus 160. It's a great number. It's better than the Najee Harris number. So give me Justin Fields. That's who I want to score this week. I've gotten in a lot of DFS lineups too, because if he scores a touchdown, throws a touchdown, it's going to be a really productive fantasy day. And he rushes for, I think I have him the over in the rushing yards as well. I think he's just going to run amok, especially because Najee is not 100%. So it does worry me just a tad. Terry McLaurin's my other one at plus 190. You saw the breakout performance from Jaden Daniels. We are now comfortable. We are now confident. I predicted it would happen just in a different game script. It wasn't necessarily the Washington Commanders from ahead throwing the football with reckless abandon. I thought it would come after they were behind. No. Even better. Even more of a reason to be confident as they travel to Arizona and play a game with one of the highest totals of the week. So give me Terry McLaurin plus 190, Justin Fields plus 160. And of course, drop your comments below. What's your favorite touchdown call of the week? Call a TD for me right here on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Ring the bell till it goes ding. And again, give us your comments, call your touchdowns, your favorite props. What do you like? What do you hate? Just make sure you don't hate us because we're so sensitive. Please don't. No, it's fine. You can do whatever you want in the comments. But again, we're just happy you're here and hanging out with us. And don't forget to subscribe to Betting Pros too, wherever you get your podcasts as well. We appreciate you being with us. We see the numbers grow every single week. And it's because of all you hanging out, watching the shows, listening to the shows. And we love that. Go join our Discord too. Fantasy Pros. This is what happens when you work too many places. BettingPros.com/chat. I mean, it's the same. It'll take you to the same spot, but still. BettingPros.com/chat. Hang out with us there too. Matt Peralt doing an amazing job there. Our host of the Daily Juice, getting and interacting with everybody for college football, for NFL, for everything. So be part of our Betting Pros community because we want to win with you. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on for the Welsh and the Undertaker, Andrew Erickson. I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Enjoy week 4.